What's up, everyone? Howard here. Hope you're amazing. I want to talk about some trends today here about what's going to happen in 2021. One of the cool things about 2021, about like the coming in of a new year, means new stuff. And we all love new stuff, right? I love new stuff. So I want to talk about 5 hot trends that I think you should know about. So, guys, let's talk trends. Trend number 1 is digital transformation goes mainstream. Now, don't know about you. I always kind of thought of the word digital transformation as like one of those like corporate words that is used by consultants to try and make money. All right, it's just one of these things. It's one of these nebulous things that like digital transformation, like, but what is it in reality? Well, I think 2020 was the year that digital transformation went from something which was okay for, something corporates did, to something that everyone had to do. So what is it? So Google, like, transformation, when I talk about digital transformation, it's really people transforming and having to get online and getting ahead of the curve. All right. Now, I think you've all experienced that this year. There's a lot of you who, like to do most stuff working in the office, and I'll talk more about that later. Or maybe your business had a physical store. We've had so many students come to Growth Velocity Academy that had a business that was used to be offline, and it had to go online super, super quick, because like in 2020, being digital first was no longer an option. I think most people had it in their heads in 2020 or before. It was like, oh yeah, I do some of my stuff online and some of my stuff offline. And, for a lot of businesses, offline was fine. And then online was like a nice to have. No more in 2020. And that's just going to even gather further pace in 2021. It's like the world was kicked about 5 years into the future in 2020 with everything. Okay, so that's just going to continue. There's going to be more acceleration in digital transformation. So basically, even the smallest business in the world now has to be online, right? And that's what really digital transformation is about. So the first trend is digital transformation going to the masses. And if you haven't really thought about that yet, if you haven't been really seeing that yet, I think you're going to see it more and more and more. Every single business needs to get on that online presence. Okay. So that's number 1. And trend number 2 is AI tools everywhere. All right. So AI, artificial intelligence, is something that you've been hearing about, something that you've heard, but you may not have like tangibly been seeing it yourself, right? Or using it yourself. It's one of these like hot trends for the last few years, right? But this is the year I really see this has been happening over the last few months, and it's really going to gather pace, particularly with some new major product releases. This is the year that if you're a digital marketer and you're learning the latest tools, you'll be using AI every single day, right? It's no longer one of these things that you hear about, but you don't really see it. This is the year that really changes. All right, give you an example of that. Google Analytics did a major update. They updated the platform in October to a new version of the product called Google Analytics 4. Okay, so if you used to use the old version of Google Analytics, that one is no longer the current version. You have to go through an upgrade process. It won't do it automatically. Okay, so just heads up. Now, AI is used heavily in Google Analytics 4 to allow it to do things like some great data, real-time data visualizations, as well as some predictive analysis. So AI, like, really, what is AI? It's an intelligent computer. Your computer getting some intelligence, so it can take in some data from your website, and then it can start predicting what will happen. It can start predicting, for example, what content you should write that will get the most interactions. It can start predicting it can start predicting what trends are going to happen over certain times of the year and things like that for you. Okay, so here's an example of it on screen, and when like Google Analytics is the world's leading analytics platform. It's why we teach it so well in Growth Velocity Academy. And when now it really is coming to the masses that Google Analytics has that. I know Facebook and Instagram are releasing a new feature in the next couple of weeks with AI in it. And it's just one of those things now. Most of your tools, all of the tools that we use at Growth Velocity Academy, for example, are now bringing in AI elements. So it's one of those things we're all going to be impacted by. Trend number 3 that's going to affect you personally is the change of work as we know it. Okay, so obviously that's been happening in 2020, but it's not going to slow down, and if anything, it's going to change even more. All right, 2020 was the year that we went from working from anywhere, kind of like working from your office, I should say, to working at home. Okay, and that's now going to be the new normal. All right, and as we start getting used to that new normal, that's when that there's going to be a lot more services and tools that will come in that will support that new normal and new ways to do your company culture in that new normal. Okay. Now, I remember speaking to an MBA class recently, a very prestigious MBA class, and it was weird. Like, they're currently doing their MBA. So obviously they're kind of maybe sheltered a bit what happened in 2020. But every single question I got was like, when are things going back to normal? When is everyone going back into the office? And like, I was surprised. I was like, guys, like, you got to get ahead of this. It's not going back to normal. Like, just get that out of your head. You have to get ahead of this. So if you're sitting there kind of waiting for it to go back to normal, it's not going to. There was a study done by Slack recently, and they found that only 12% of people actually want to return to the office. So even if the vaccine was everywhere, people now no longer want to do this, right? So, you might be in the small 12% of people that are like, I can't wait to get back to the office, but most people aren't. And 79% of people want to do some kind of hybrid working. So the future of work is some kind of hybrid working environment. And to be honest, we're still yet to see what that's like. All right. So the workplace will be very different at the end of 2021, even than it was at the end of 2020. And me personally, who loves working remotely, that I'm going digital nomad this year, and I'm traveling a few different countries this year, as why not? Because I can, and I love traveling. So I personally am really excited about that, because I've been kind of a big believer in remote work for a long time. When we launched Growth Velocity Academy 3 years ago, we built it remote work from day one. So this is like, we've been kind of like working that way from day one, and we know how powerful and great it can be. So that's the third of the key trends, is remote work and hybrid work even accelerating. Okay, number 4 is ad spend increasing. So guys, like, one thing that of course is going to happen, the more people now are online, and remember point 1, digital transformation increasing, and now everyone having to get online, well, that has a knock-on effect, and that impacts ad spend. Okay, so what we saw in 2020 was that ad spends actually decreased as people went into shock and everyone was like, whoa, but they started recovering. And then what we found was that ad spend then really, really, really jumped towards Q3 and Q4 as people kind of got into the new normal and realized that now everyone needs to be online. Now, the reason ad spends jump so much, just so you know, is that the reason this happens is that all of these, don't know what's happened there. All of these different ad platforms, the way they work is it's like an auctioning system. It's like going down and bidding for a painting, right? The more people that want the painting, the price goes up, just like eBay works. So in this case, if lots of people are trying to market, the more people advertising on a platform like Facebook, the prices go up. And that's what's been happening. We've started seeing that in Q3 and Q4. And guys, like I say, now more and more people are going to be advertising online in 2021, and they're not going to go away from that. The prices are going to jump up a bit. Okay, so just things we need to be aware of. So we might want to start thinking about ultimately, like, if you're doing it well, I think you can still do it very, very profitably. So it's not that it doesn't work anymore, it's just that it'll be more competitive. So you need to be better, and you'll probably want to make sure your organic strategies are on point as well. And then fifth and the final of the trends, and this is more on the messaging front, another thing that's going to kind of go mainstream is equality and environmental issues. All right, so 2020 was a mad year for like a lot of, between like Black Lives Matter and then obviously the pandemic and people just being more aware. So whereas before, I think like these kind of messages were more for the larger companies, I think, they would put it into their marketing, and the smaller businesses would be like, oh, that's not really for us. I think now that's going to, again, all businesses need to be putting these messages and being aware of that, both in their marketing, but also their culture as a business. And more businesses that aren't doing those things are going to get found out. And then ultimately, customers will speak with their wallets. Okay, so it's, Simon Sinek said it many years ago, start with why. And those kind of messages like equality and environmental issues are really in that why, and that's going to become more and more important than ever. Okay, guys, so what I've just been covering is 5 trends I'm excited about that I'm going to see growing in 2021. 1 is transformation to the masses. 2 is AI tools everywhere. 3 is remote increasing. 4 is increased ad spend. And then 5th is equality everywhere. Okay, so guys, I'd love to know which one of those you're most excited about. Just share in the chat, and also if there's any other trends that you think are going to be big in 2021, I'd love to continue this conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Either send me a DM or just comment in the comments below, and let's keep chatting about what kind of trends are happening. Okay guys, peace out and see you soon.